Hi everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Our first couple of miracles today show us that it's an amazing experience if we do what God inspires us to do during our day. He sends us inspirations, which is 2 words, the word incoming of His Spirit, and He sends us ideas, that's 2 words, I plus Deo. Deo is the Latin word for God. So if we do what inspirations and ideas come into our mind, we often experience marvelous things like the following. I was inspired to go to a vacation spot during the summer to hand out our business cards that tell people everything they need to know about our website, about our 50 years of miracles, about our 2 books. And people could just Google the title of our book and get a wealth of information. So I'll give you the title of our book. It's Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. One more time, just Google Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles, and you'll get a wealth of information. So let's begin with these miracle stories that show how amazing it is if we just ask people what God puts in our minds to ask them. So I went to a vacation spot. It was a park. Lots of people go there. There's a boardwalk. And I was there most of the afternoon passing out cards and answering people's questions. They look at the card. They ask a lot of questions about the book, about my life. They can see from the card that I've had 50 years of miracles now, and I wrote 2 books, and I have a wealth of giving presentations to radio and television and schools and churches and social groups. So I've done a lot of giving speeches and a lot of Zoom meetings. And so they ask a lot of questions. I taught Sunday school for 45 years, so I get a lot of questions about God and religion as well. So I was passing out the cards. At the end of the afternoon, I was sort of tired and was inspired it was time to go. And as I was leaving the exit, I saw 2 women walking out as well. So I stopped. I was inspired by God to ask them, and I said, hi, ladies, do you have any miracle stories in your life that you could share with me? I have a weekly radio show where I report miracles I've heard about. And the first woman was delighted. She said that she's so excited that I asked her because she said exactly 1 year ago she was dying from something which the doctors still have not described, but she was in a coma state and she was dying. And her family got into intensive prayer They did a lot of intensive prayer and even asking priests and having groups of people meet at churches and praying for her. And she was totally cured. Not only can the doctors not explain what was wrong with her, but now the doctors can't explain what happened to her. And the reason she was so excited today that I asked her is because today is her actual birthday. And so what I'm trying to reveal to you is I was inspired to ask these two women, and this woman has this wonderful thing to say, and she's also excited that somebody's asking her this question on her birthday because she told us that she's so happy beyond explanation. She can't explain anything she's been this happy about in her whole life, and she normally thinks about it on her birthday. So my bringing it up has caused a miracle in her soul as well. The other woman that was with her had a miracle. She said that she was traveling to the airport to catch a plane to Algeria, and her car broke down, and it broke down at a truck stop near a diner. She was so frantic because the trip to Algeria was important that she got there exactly on time, and she couldn't afford the risk of having a delay in her flight, etc. And so she prayed intensely. She said she never felt such a need for asking for anything so deeply as she did, and she felt the presence of God while she was praying. And sure enough, her car got her to the airport. She got to Algeria on time. So she relates to us that miracle. She's sure that if she wasn't praying, she wasn't going to make it. And notice that these are two people leaving the park, actually leaving at the time I'm leaving. And why was I asked or inspired to ask them that question at that time? Well, inspirations come from God. That's what the word means, incoming of the Spirit of God. So an inspiration means that the Spirit of God comes into you, the Spirit of God enters into your mind and puts a thought into your head. And that's what an inspiration is. That's what an idea is, because Deo is the Latin word for God. And incidentally, women's intuition is also two words, incoming of a tutoring. So something is tutoring you when you get an intuition. Either something from outside of you or something from inside of you is tutoring you. And men have intuitions as well, by the way. So I thought I'd share all this with you because if you follow, and God is with us all day long. Every person has the presence of God with them no matter where we go. Even if you're in the desert all by yourself, or you're out in the middle of the ocean by yourself, the presence of God is with each person. And if we ask Him what to do, He does inspire us, give us intuitions, and give us ideas. And that's how He speaks to us. It's interiorly. And the Catholic Catechism explains this in Articles 1776 through 1779. So if you Google the Catholic Catechism, Articles 1776 through 79, you'll see a lot of fantastic evidence and proof that God is speaking to all of us, especially when we ask Him questions. It's important to ask Him questions first so we'll know the answers are coming from Him. But He also sends us inspirations when we're not asking Him questions. It's just that we should be asking Him questions, and that way that'll assure us that He's sending us these inspirations in those cases. By the way, there was another miracle at that beach as well. There was a couple at the beach, and I was inspired as I was passing out the cards to ask them also if they had any miracles to report. And the man, also similar to the prior story, he was very excited as well. He said, I'm so happy you're asking me this question today. He said, this is kind of a miracle for me because today is our 45th wedding anniversary. And the miracle I had, I can tell you sincerely, people treat this as a light comment, but I'm very sincere. My miracle was that 45 years ago, this wonderful woman agreed to marry me. That was really the miracle in my life. I've had a great life ever since. Now, that was very moving for him, that somebody asked him on this particular day, and I was inspired to ask him. So you see, this was all God's doing. And then later, as I was leaving the park, there was another, as I just told you about these two women, it was also her birthday on the same day. So you see, God is in charge, and He gives us these coincidence miracles. The coincidence of I asked this couple earlier, and the guy says, today's the wedding anniversary, And then I'm inspired to ask the two women later, and they say it's their birthday. So that's how you notice God is in your life, when you see these coincidences. You don't have to see the coincidences, but normally you do see them. And that's why I bring this up. Anytime you see a coincidence, you should pause and analyze it, because you're probably missing a miracle. Our next miracle story is from a man who was planning a very long trip, and he was praying that it would be a good trip, praying for a safe and timely trip. And he relates that as soon as he started to travel, I guess as soon as he pulled up on the highway, he noticed that his car dashboard indicated that he had enough gas to go 444 miles, and he knows that the number 444 is a holy number, so that gave him some confidence that he was going to have a good trip, and he did. And you can learn a lot about the meaning of numbers if you Google our website, or if you just Google the title of our book. Again, the title of our book is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles, and I'll give you our website now. Our website is WCAT, that's WCAT, radio.com/miracles/ Very easy to remember. Here it is again, WCATradio.com/miracles/. Our next coincidence miracle is one that happened to me. I was traveling on the interstate highway, and I had to stop for gas, so I stopped at the gas station there. And while I was pumping gas, I got inspired. I got an inspiration from God to hand one of our business cards that talks about our website and our books, etc., to a young lady that was pumping gas on the other side of the pump that I was at. So I was inspired to hand it to her, and then she continued pumping gas while I was on my side. But then she came over to me, and she started asking a lot of questions. She said, I consider this as a miracle right now today, she said, and I'll tell you why. It was a young lady, somewhere between the age of 20 and 25, and she tells me that she lives with her grandmother, and she keeps recording on her voice message iPhone. She keeps recording her discussions with her grandmother, because her grandmother has experienced many, many miracles in her life. And so as a granddaughter, she's trying to preserve all of these things for posterity. And she found out by asking me questions that that's how I got started writing my books. I initially started to write a diary about all of the many miracles in my life for posterity, for my family. And then after I got it all done, that's what caused me to publish the book. So she was really moved by this, because she said that this has encouraged her, that that's what she needs to do. She's got to take all of these voice recordings that she has and transcribe them and get these miracles published, so that there'll be a documentation of her grandmother's miracles for many, many years to come. Our next coincidence miracle is from a person who tells us that just recently, apparently it was in the last week, they were walking to their car in a large parking lot, and they got inspired to pick up the pace and walk quickly to their car. They didn't know why. It was a little cloudy, but it didn't look like rain. But they were inspired to do it, so they did. They started walking really quickly, and they got to their car, and as soon as they got into their car and started the car up, it started to come down in buckets. And so they remembered this just recently happened to them, so they were stunned by the fact that they were inspired. They were not used to this reality of being inspired to do these things, so they take our meeting today, that I was telling them how inspirations are when God is talking to you, or when you get ideas that pop into your head. So she took it as a special message that today was a miracle just meeting me. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.